Just when we thought we could kind of put this whole kind of crisis to bed, you're hearing quite a strong response from Beijing. What did we hear, Maura?
I mean, even though sort of accusations around more balloons seem to have halted, the actual sort of geopolitical fallout and quite how both the US and Beijing are going to manage this publicly still seems to be rolling on. On the China side, we did have this comment that it was sort of reserved the right to potentially respond in terms of reacting to US entities. Now, that reference to US entities may have sort of sparked the ears of some investors. That's not particularly common. And we haven't seen that throughout their responses so far in regards to this. Worth remembering, China has made similar remarks in the past, in 2019 and so on, and we haven't yet seen formal sanctions kind of enforced, or at least particularly not broadly as well. So sort of remain cautious on whether we truly see something emerge there. They have continued to talk, however, about these US balloons flying over parts of Xinjiang, Tibet, and so on. So, as you say, they're still pursuing this narrative. And Biden, too, now, we have a source telling us that he may also be preparing to give his first sort of official public remarks on the balloon, speaking to an American audience, likely trying to assuage concerns about the surveillance program, but also trying to reassure them that this isn't going to lead to a conflict with China. But nonetheless, both Beijing and DC continuing to perpetuate and figure out their response to this narrative.
And then you have this news, our reporting of ASML and some data that was stolen. What do we know about this data and how sensitive it is? And could this kind of rile up tensions further?
Absolutely. So we've learned that ASML has launched an investigation into this. It seems that it's about targeting technology rather than specifically a theft of hardware itself. And it was taken place by a China-based employee. Now, it's the second time we've seen an incident like this in less than a year. And of course, I think for the bigger picture, the question is how this affects geopolitics and whether coming at this time where there's already so much focus and concern around the balloon and the US and China are still trying to formulate their longer term response, whether that throws something of a wrench in, say, for example, this potential meeting between Antony Blinken and his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi when they go to this Munich security conference later this week.
We also have a key advisor on China to President Biden that's set to depart the White House. What indications, what does that tell us about kind of the U.S. relationship with China now, too?
Yeah, we have this sort of long-timer Laura Rosenberger departing the National Security Council. She's a senior director there. And it actually, the way they've sort of publicly announced it, at least that this was a long-time plan and a long time coming. It is accompanied by another pretty senior departure, another senior director in the NSC who heads up Russia, who's also departing. So we are seeing a bit of movement there. It's not particularly unusual, especially leading up to potential sort of launching of a presidential campaign, say, that we see some of these sort of reshuffles. But clearly, this is a moment for the Biden administration in particular to be really thinking about what kind of agenda they're going to be setting forward for the next few years.